Hey there, Wedding Confessionals listeners. It's Brooke just popping in to remind you that this is actually part 3 of our chat with Carly Blitzerhoof. So right now we're about to get into Confessionals. But if you haven't heard her actual wedding story, which is completely bonkers, make sure you hit pause and go back and check out episodes 109 and 110. And if you've already heard those, well, sit back and enjoy these confessionals.
Something borrowed, something blue. Give us all your juicy news, sensational, irrational. It's Wedding Confessionals.
Okay, confessional number 1 is a long one, and I'm happy that Pammy gave it to herself.
Yeah.
Pammy, let's get into some confessionals.
All right. Dear Wedding Confessionals. Hi, ladies. So glad to have you back. I discovered your podcast about a month into my engagement when I was already in full panic spiral. You helped calm me down with your boozy and creative bridal breaks and helped me focus on what's really important. Lengthwise, Pammy, this one might be for you. Whenever someone asks me how wedding planning is going, I try to smile through the pain. This is not as fun as I thought it would be. The decisions are never ending. The opinions from family just keep coming. I can't help but vent sometimes to people who have been there, done that. The response I keep getting is sympathetic, laugh, and there's still time to just elope. With an exhausted, I wish, I laugh along with them. But the funny part is, we already did. My wedding confession is that my fiance and I secretly eloped.
Yes.
When we got engaged in 2019, we heard immediately about how far out venues and vendors were being booked. Within 2 weeks, we had found the perfect venue, but their first available Saturday wasn't for almost 2 years. We were a little bummed, but tried to look on the bright side. I'd have even more time to stress out about making decisions. A few months into our 2-year-long engagement, amidst a mini breakdown, we joked about eloping. For the next couple weeks, we both kept sprinkling the idea of eloping into conversation, but I think that we were just both testing the waters, neither of us really wanting to outright suggest it. But as we creeped up on the 1-year mark until the big day, we made the decision we would elope at the courthouse exactly a year before the wedding and not tell anyone. We were so excited. It felt like when we first got engaged and all the planning stress melted away. Turns out the courthouse would be closed that day. Slight bump in the road. So we reassessed. I think that we were both slightly saddened about the idea of not having our parents there, knowing it would mean so much to them. So we tested the elopement waters with them, and they were all for it. With our parents and a mobile notary public, we made it official. It was quick and casual and perfect. Honestly, keeping the secret had actually been fun. We still use the title fiancé when we're alone because we don't want to take away from how special the wedding will be. Although sometimes when we've had a couple of drinks too many, we call each other husband and wife and erupt in boozy giggles. It hasn't taken away the stress of planning a big wedding. The decisions and opinions of others are still never ending. But I can't think of a better way to celebrate our first secret anniversary than surrounded by all our friends and family. Maybe one day we'll tell people, but for now, it's our little secret. Sincerely, the secretly been there, done that bride.
Ooh.
I love that.
I love it.
Yes. And we had one of these before, and I think this is maybe a theme during COVID. You know, You still want to wait for that big wedding day and venue and everything, but you want to get married. You don't want to wait. Like you were saying, Carly, how you were like, should I, we just get pregnant? You want to keep moving forward, but, you know, so I think this is fun. I think we might have a few of these pop up.
I feel like COVID made it okay, but maybe that's just going to be a thing going forward. I mean, this might be news to some people who are at our wedding, but our wedding was actually a bit of a sham too, because we had a Zoom wedding a month before our wedding because the only way to legally change both of our last names was in California. They won't let you combine last names in Colorado, but because California is very progressive, they'll let you combine your last names. So we did a Zoom wedding with the Santa Barbara courthouse about a month before, just from our living room. So we were technically married when we had our wedding. But I feel like COVID has kind of taken the stigma of that away. And I hope that's something that lasts, because just do what makes sense.
Yeah.
You know?
And I will say that I know there's also a lot of times where if you are doing a destination wedding, potentially where you're going, you might not be able to do all the legal stuff for it.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to legally get married, you either do it before or after, but it's kind of fun doing it before, because you get this little bump in between planning this big event. You get this little mini event. And I tell you, I've been to a courthouse wedding, and actually I drove by the courthouse the other day down in Beverly Hills, and I saw this girl in this like pretty dress, and I was just like shouted out my window. I was like, congratulations. But like courthouse weddings can be very romantic. They can be really exciting. You walk in, it's just like a room of other people also getting married, and everyone is pumped. It is such a fun environment. So even though you hear courthouse and everyone thinks about like going to jail and trial and like, but it really is the section cornered off for the weddings is usually set up in this really cute way, and it can be fun. So if you need to, out of necessity, like you said, with your name, or maybe out of necessity for your mental health.
Yeah.
I say do it. I love it.
Having like that's what this whole confessional was about, is how like empowering and fun it is to like have a secret with your significant other too. Like I love that part of it, where it's just like no one else knows. Like that's super fun, and that's what it's about, you know.
I love it. Yay. Are you ready to move on to number 2?
Let's do it.
Hi, Wedding Confessionals ladies, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and guest. I have a logistical question for you about planning transportation. Okay, we'll put our logistical hats on. And we're sober today, so that's good.
Yeah.
You picked a good day to do this, Pam. I am in the wedding planning process, and before I send out invites to my guests all around the U.S. and internationally, I wanted to know how you go about planning/offering transportation to guests. Okay, cool. Because our wedding venue is in the middle of nowhere and about an hour and a half to 2 hours from a major airport, I want to provide guests with a hired bus to take them to and from the venue. The problem is, this is a chicken and egg situation. Do I decide on a time the bus will pick people up / drop them off at the airport, or do I ask that those who RSVP what time they think their flights would come in? People usually don't book flights out super far in advance, and I would love to cross this off the list. I'm not sure the appropriate time to make the booking for the hired bus, though. I don't want people to say no to the invites because they don't want to rent a car or figure out how to get to and from the venue and the airport. But if there are too many people coming in at odd times, then I won't be able to provide a hired bus for them all. I'm also thinking of putting together a carpool sign up. So if someone does want to rent a car and would be open to carpooling with other guests, they could split the cost of the rental car. Or is all of that too complicated? I would love your thoughts on how to go about this. Thanks. From Transportation Planning is Taxing. Sorry, I tried.
I love that. Thank you for trying.
Yeah, no, it's very cute. I like the pun. I like the pun. Okay, so it's interesting that our guest did plan sort of a kind of big remote destination wedding. How far was your venue from the Denver airport?
2 hours.
Oh, okay. What did you do?
So I went through pretty much spiraling through all the same questions. I was like, should we hire a private shuttle? Should we, like try to get people to carpool? Ultimately, we didn't do any of that. We provided the different ways to get to, like on our wedding website, there's a train from the Denver airport. We provided the times, linked to the schedule. I mean, everyone coming to a destination wedding presumably like understands that there's going to be some expectation on them to get there. And like, you can't take all of that on. Like if you try to take everyone's planning on, you're going to go insane. And that is something that I had to let go of early. And that's hard for me because I wanted to make sure everyone like didn't feel pressure to spend too much or, all of that. But ultimately, like I encouraged my friends who knew each other to coordinate if they could and carpool together if they could. But I wasn't like doing sign up sheets and stuff like that because it just would have been too much. But there were a few different ways of getting to the venue. And I mean, it was definitely a little complicated, but try not to overcomplicate it because I feel like you could easily try to coordinate every single person's plans, but ultimately you'll drive yourself insane. So we gave people the rental car information. We gave people the bus information. We gave people a private shuttle number. We gave people the train information and left it up to them to coordinate it. And everyone made it there.
So really having the website as sort of the hub of suggestions more than dictating this is what we're going to do.
Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, ultimately, like a bus, people will just get in at too many different times. So I feel like that's kind of hard to make a bus work. Like buses work going between like reception and, you know, ceremony and stuff like that because everyone's finishing at a single time. But I feel like even if you knew everyone's flights, the chance that you could arrange a bus all to be at the right time would be hard. Probably.
Yeah, I think that also, I wouldn't be surprised if this person who wrote in is thinking about a bus because you do hear a lot of times about people taking a bus from like the hotel to the venue. Right. Another way. But that usually on top of just like managing, shuffling people in on time is also kind of about drinking so that they don't have to worry about driving back home. So that's one of the reasons why they do buses. I'm with you. I don't think many people are going to have any expectation for you to be providing transportation from the airport to the location. What do you think, Pam?
Yeah,
agreed. Yep. I think this of all of your worries is not on your plate. Provide the information and people will get there. And then once it's like wedding time, then that's you. But getting there, people should be able to get themselves there.
Yeah, and I think the cool thing about, and maybe this will take the pressure off of you of the guilt, because I think you have a little bit of guilt of the idea of people spending too much money on you, is that if you in the website are providing all the different options, you know, you give people, you save them on time of having to do the research. So that's nice. Yep. Mm-hmm. But also it'll be probably a couple different price points so people can kind of decide in that way. Also, it sounds like your wedding's pretty far out. If you're planning this like remote destination. So you're giving people enough time to potentially save. Because a lot of times when you're going on a destination wedding that is really far away from you do consider like a vacation. Mm-hmm. So people just kind of know ahead of time, I am saving for this. I also had a wedding that was not near an airport. I think it was 2.5 hours from the closest airport. And unbeknownst to me, my friends carpooled. I didn't even know it. They just planned, like they landed within an hour of each other at the same airport, and a couple of them shared. Other ones from New York City met at this one place and they all took a car up. So, you know, you'd be surprised how people on their own are thinking about ways to, one, save money, and two, have an extra time to hang out with their friends. So people that know each other, either family or friends, people are going to naturally start doing this. Again, if you want to take the guilt, you could maybe shoot an email. Hey guys, like, you know, just an idea if you wanted to carpool. But, you know, also some people might have different vibes. Like some people might prefer to drive alone. And the idea of being on a bus is like, ugh, I have car sickness, or I want to stop when I want to stop. I want to make this a road trip. So don't think that if you don't provide a bus, you're taking away something, because I think for a lot of people, part of the adventure of going on a destination wedding is getting there. Yes. And that can be a lot of fun. You might even want to, again, trying to think of ways to alleviate your guilt. If there's cute things to see along the way between the airport and where you're going, put that on the website, you know, like cute spot, like a restaurant, if there's a cute shop, if there's like a cool fruit or some other kind of stand that's very local to where you are, so that you make the trip from the airport to the destination part of the fun. Maybe that'll kind of help relieve your guilt, because I don't think you're going to be able to relieve everyone's like price points. I think it just is what it is. But if you can kind of make it as like enjoyable as possible. Yeah.
I mean, as a type A person, I totally get that. But like ultimately you have to have faith that like they're going to be able to figure it out, you know, like that's hard. It's hard to let go of that and be like, but is everyone going to make it? Like, do I need to make sure everyone is there? Like they'll figure it out, you know, like people will show up.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's hard because you do think about when you're planning a wedding about, okay, so I need to make sure that everyone understands the timeline, but also like where they're eating. Do I need to think about dietary issues? Okay, what about if I have a gift bag in the room? Do I make sure, is there sunscreen look good? Because we're going to be outside. Yeah. You start spiraling. I did the same thing. I get it. And then you're not sleeping because you're thinking about the smallest little, should I put dental floss in the greeting bag?
Oh my God.
Oh my
Yes,
goodness.
I
Right?
literally would wake up. I would wake up and be like, "We picked the wrong thing for the altitude kit," and Elliot's like, "It's gonna be okay. Like, it's okay."
Yeah, people fend for themselves better than you think. And I do get it. The guilt of having to have a destination wedding, you feel bad. You want to provide, like you said, Carly wanted to have the best wedding possible and the best. I think focus more on the wedding and from the moment they arrive at this destination of making that time until they leave as fun as possible.
Yes.
That's really in your hands. That's where you become the visionary. But them getting there, leave it up to them.
That's on them. Yep.
Yeah, take it off your plate. Isn't that nice, girl? You could just take that, or guy, whoever's writing in, just take it off your plate.
Yeah,
It's gone. We took it away from you right now. Take it and just throw it into the ether.
not your responsibility.
Yeah.
Check.
It off. Check.
Scratch that out.
Ooh, number 3. Okay, wait. Carly's is shorter than mine.
Yes.
Whatever.
Also, mine just says hi, Brooke and Pam. They don't even like me.
We'll add and guest. And guest.
Rude. Not even the dog got a shout out.
Hi, Brooke and Pam. Also me. It's okay. I mean, your guys' advice. I feel like you guys, you have more experience than anyone I know. I feel like with the years of the podcasting. I have to tell you, like, I'm still kind of fangirling that I'm like on this podcast right now reading a confessional. What?
You were on a wedding website for your wedding. That's super cool.
I would say it's like a close number 2 to being on this podcast. Hi, Brooke and Pam. I need advice. But first, thank you for making these amazing episodes. I can't imagine what I would do without you both. BTW, you are my bridal break. So here's the tea. My fiance and I got engaged last year and finally set a date for May of next year. We're going to Mexico and we'll be bringing my family because it's very small and it'll be easier for my future husband to have his family come. He's from Mexico originally. I am stuck on whether or not I should invite my biological father. I talk to him maybe 2 or 3 times a year. I know, fear he will make a huge deal if he sees photos or hears that my future husband and I got married and never told him. So here's my question. Should I invite him? And if I do, where should I have him stay? My immediate family and my fiance's immediate family are staying with us at an Airbnb on the beach. His mom prefers to be in her own Airbnb. So should I do the same thing for my dad and his wife, or is that rude? From Not a Mamma Mia movie.
Ooh, interesting. Okay. So, I'm
trying to like sort the dynamics here in my mind.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it was interesting for me. What I pulled out of this was that should I invite him at all? She feels like he would be upset. And that is a huge dynamic of he's not like you talk to him a few times a year and you wouldn't invite him. But that said, for me, I would say invite him. That takes it off of you and puts it on him, whether he wants to join the festivities or not. And I think that you're completely fine to get him a different Airbnb. You know, if he's not a part of your daily life, as you know, your future in-laws and you know, and your parents or your mom, I think he'll be fine. I don't think his expectations would be that he would need to be there with, you know, all of them. So I think getting an Airbnb near or around where you're setting up the other one would work.
Yeah, I don't think that's rude at all, especially given the fact that your future husband's mom is going to be in her own Airbnb. I think that gives you a totally legitimate reason. Like, we've already booked this for this. You don't even have to clarify that, especially you only talk to him a few times a year. Just say, you're invited. Here are some places to stay nearby. As long as inviting him isn't going to be a huge cloud or stress over the wedding. If it's just kind of like, okay, I could have him there or not, then fine, then invite him so you don't have to deal with the blowback. But I mean, it's something to think about if it's really going to be a cloud over your day. But it doesn't seem like that was the issue. It seemed like the Airbnb part of it was the issue, which I don't feel like that's rude at all.
Yeah, I'm confused actually. So she got engaged last year. Does her dad know that she's engaged? He just doesn't know that there's a wedding being planned. I mean, if you're engaged, he knows something's possibly being planned. I don't know if I think springing it. Here's the thing. If you do not invite him, I think telling him that you had a wedding after the fact, I think that's going to probably blow up in your face. If you do have a relationship where you see him 2 or 3 times a year, this is someone really in your life. Like maybe not a lot, but still 2 or 3 times a year is not nothing. To then after the fact tell him that you got married, I think he would read that as very hurtful. He would feel like it's one thing if you said, oh, we're just going to have like a tiny wedding. We're doing it in Mexico. Like, we'll maybe have like a little get together afterwards when we get back, or we'll, make sure to come by. If you want to phrase it like that, that's one thing. But I think not telling him at all until after it's done, I could see that doing real damage to your already kind of fragile relationship. Because if you make the decision you don't want him to come and that's the decision you make, then stand by your decision. But I think hiding behind it and not telling him until later, I think might blow up in your face. But here's the thing. You see this guy 2 or 3 times a year, which means you seem to vibe with him good enough. I think that the wedding, it sounds like, you have a couple of different spaces people are saying. That means you're not going to have to be on top of him as much as you want to. Also, he might like to, kind of have his own space. He might prefer not to stay in the same house as his ex-wife. You know what I mean?
Right.
Baby mom and her parents ever got married. But you know what I mean? Like whatever it is, like I could see he might actually prefer that space as well. And it's not like you're all staying at a hotel and you refuse to let him stay at the hotel where it's obvious he would be able to stay. When it comes to Airbnbs, like you do get to a point where houses are only built normally to have a certain number of bedrooms. So if you already just have a house that's pretty big and fits, it's 4-bedroom house, like it's understandable you can't add another bedroom in order to include him. It's just, we're trying to make space for people where we can. So but the fact that you're already doing an Airbnb situation, I don't think it would be weird. In my opinion, if you genuinely want to continue to have him in your life and you have a pleasant experience when you do see him, I say invite him.
Absolutely. If it's the Airbnb thing, that's the stressful part of it, like definitely don't stress about that. Like if that's what's holding you back, like it's not a big deal to have them stay at a different Airbnb in my opinion.
And the other thing, just to kind of take some weight off you, is that, I'm sure by listening to this podcast, you are not the first person to get married and have one of your parents not be super close to you, but still attend. And for the most part, it is completely fine. Everyone's usually on their best behavior anyway, because you're at this, you're at an event that's very important. And also, even though you're having kind of a smaller wedding, you do get kind of, shuffled around a little bit. So it's not like you're just talking to your father nonstop for a long weekend. Like that's not what's happening here. There's going to be a lot of other people. You have different little things going on. So I think you check in with him sometimes, and then sometimes you're hanging out with other people. And I think it will be less shitty than you think, because I think that's part of her issue, right? Is that she's kind of like, is this going to suck? I think it'll be okay.
It'll be fine.
And if you want to continue to have him in your life, and also you want him to have a good relationship with your future husband, I think having him come to your future husband's, it sounds like hometown, or at least like the country where his family's from, I think is a good way to connect and for them to sort of get on, you know what I mean? Like
start out on the right foot.
Yeah. For your dad to see where your future husband is from and meet his family, like that's a real connection. I mean, you are blending families. That's what's happening at this point. So that could also potentially be a good foundation for the two of them to get along. Because I imagine moving forward, when you continue to see him 2 or 3 times a year, more often than not, your husband will be with you, and potentially if you have a family. So get the ball rolling and kind of get everybody as connected as possible. It could potentially be a plus. But I'm an optimist.
Absolutely. I love this vision. You just spun a whole tale.
Yes.
Whole vision.
Well, I just think it's cool going to where his family's from. I think it's really fun. Also, man, I just want to go to Mexico. It's been a while. I mean, it sounds like that you can
Brooke
have
wants an invite.
Listen, you can have margaritas. I just don't know how everyone's not going to get along if margaritas are always an option.
Absolutely.
True.
Yeah, right. Corona, get it flowing.
Who's going to Mexico and having a bad time?
Right?
It's true.
Okay, we finished all the confessionals.
That was it.
Are you ready to get to some bridal breaks?
Yeah.
Yeah. Bridal breaks are not only suggestions we give to brides, but also grooms or anyone helping to plan with a wedding of things that have nothing to do with wedding planning, so that we enjoy our lives and not get too upset about
Take a breather.
the stress of planning a wedding.
Yes.
You're still a full person with interests that
Not
are
just
cool.
wedding.
You're still cool.
Yes.
You're a very relaxed and cool person. And Pam's
So
going to make
cool.
you very relaxed with that drink. I saw it over her shoulder and I'm in. So I'll let you definitely go first, Pammy.
All right. So this one I found on Pinterest. Or she has a blog, Dash of Jazz blog, and it's called a Bourbon Gingerbread Hot Cocoa.
Can I just rant real quick that
Yeah.
Starbucks no longer has the gingerbread latte during the holidays, and I'm livid. Sorry, go ahead.
Rude.
Well, maybe this will take the, you could probably
The edge
leave
off.
out the bourbon if you needed to.
I won't.
Okay.
I will.
So it's your, yes.
Oh, the pregnant lady has to hear the cocktail story. I'm so sorry.
I mean, you could just leave out the last one.
Yeah,
so
leave out
it's
the bourbon.
It's hot cocoa, cocoa powder, milk, ginger, cinnamon, nutmeg, molasses, brown sugar, a little sprinkle of sea salt, and then bourbon whiskey.
That sounds so good.
Yeah.
You should definitely try that, even without the bourbon.
I'm gonna go make a hot chocolate right now.
So, Carly, what is your bridal break?
Okay, well, my bridal break is definitely not gonna make you cooler because it's a really nerdy bridal break, but
I love whatever our guests bring.
Me
It's
too.
always such a TBD situation.
so I spent the first few months of pregnancy with really bad morning sickness, and the only thing that would distract me was this really cheesy but amazing fantasy novel series called A Court of Thorn and Roses that is like fairies and fantasy, but then like secretly is also kind of like erotica. Like there's like it's not marketed as erotica, but like some of the scenes are like, okay, what's happening here? So 10 out of 10.
No, I have a
recommend.
question. How far into the book when you were like, okay, fantasy novel, before it got horny and you were like, oh, okay.
Not that far.
Did you know ahead of time that it was going to go that route, or were you
No,
shocked?
I mean, like I had seen some people talk about it, or influencers or whatever, be like, I'm reading this book, A Court of Thorn and Roses, and like it's steamy, and I was like, okay, there's like some steamy moments, but like it was straight up softcore porn at parts. Like Elliot would look over and I'd be like, what? Don't look at me. I'm like,
You're
I'm red.
blushing.
And I like don't get embarrassed that easily, but man, and it's honestly, I mean, I was like having morning sickness, so it's not even like I was in the mood, but it was very distracting, and it was nicely distracting. And so I felt like, and there are like 5 books in the series, and I read them all. So,
Nice.
Wow. I love it.
so I would say just let yourself indulge in something fluffy and cheesy. And I feel like anything that can distract you from like morning sickness should hopefully also be able to distract you from wedding planning stress.
That's a
Absolutely.
good suggestion. I
Yes.
love it.
That's good.
Okay, my bridal break, I have 2. They're not even remotely related.
Of course.
But I just stumbled across these things. One is very timely because this is coming out in December, and this is kind of a holiday podcast.
Okay.
So I love podcasts.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know if you know this, but I co-host a podcast about weddings.
Yeah.
Anyway.
What?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. It's fun. It's a little side thing. Anyway, so the podcast that I listened to in the past, and it's up again this season, it's called A Very Merry Iconic Podcast with Danny Pellegrino and Jenna Brister. So Danny Pellegrino already has a really very popular, like everyone loves this podcast called Everything Iconic with Danny Pellegrino. Sometimes he recaps TV shows like reality TV, but he also has like kind of a pop culture recaps when he interviews people. Like he's kind of all over anything to do with pop culture. He's kind of covering it.
Okay.
So this podcast specifically he does with his friend Jenna, and they recap holiday movies. And sometimes it's like big iconic ones like Home Alone. Other times it's like Hallmark movies.
Right.
Anything that's like new on Netflix, they cover. So I think this is either their second or third holiday season, but they did Hocus Pocus already earlier this
fun.
fall. So basically they're making it so every holiday season they get back together and just do more movies or whatever. So it's kind of fun because if you're in kind of like a holiday mood, you can kind of listen to this and it feels sort of like holiday-ish.
Yeah.
And they cover a bunch of different stuff. And Danny is so funny to begin with. And the two of them they're friends to begin with. So the combo of their chemistry is great.
Right.
It's really fun. It's really lighthearted. And it's kind of fun because like if you like podcasts or recap shows, which is very popular anyway, recapping holiday movies that you either already love or like corny Hallmark ones you don't even know exist that are just like, I need to see this train wreck now.
Love it.
So that's my first bridal break. My second one, again, nothing related to this, but there is an Instagram account that I found, God, I want to say like a month ago. She's only been around for a few months. I saw like in one of her slides or whatever, but she's really big on, I would say like more Instagram stories, some reels and some, she's just kind of like her whole package of her Instagram account. And her name is Cynthia Lee. And her Instagram account is at Cynthia Lee, just one E. So L-E, and then the number's 13. Obviously, this is all in the show notes. So Cynthia Lee 13. And what she's done is she is currently working from home, but she wanted to keep making sure that she's sort of dressed up. So every day she shows you sort of her cute outfit of the day, but her whole vibe is like, hey, even if you're working from home, make sure you kind of do some self-care and like have on a cute, fun outfit. But she doesn't buy like really expensive stuff. She's always like, hey, I got this deal, or I have this sweater from 3 years ago. This is how I'm reinventing it with these shoes. And she's all about like re-wearing what you have, but making sensible choices when you buy new stuff. And it's really cute. And it's just like every morning you just get to see Cynthia put on a cute little outfit. She does like a recap at the end of the week, but it's very much like just kind of about like, hey, like take a minute and make sure, because I know a lot of us are working from home or aren't leaving the house a lot, especially the last year. And some of us are still either due to childcare or just the way that the job market has changed. And it's kind of a fun way to kind of remember to like during the day, it can be really hard sometimes to kind of like not stay in your pajamas.
Yep.
Yeah. So
I mean,
but she doesn't do like really fussy outfits. It's all kind of like it might be some trousers, but they're really comfortable.
oh,
And
I'm looking at her page right now. It's
isn't she
cute.
so cute? And she also like is so casual. Sometimes there's a dog walking in the background or like her nephew walks in. It's like so cute. But also she does like a week on the reels. She'll do like a weekly recap of really quick, like her outfits. And she always has links to where, if it's new, where you bought it.
Cute.
But she's really fun. And I think she's got like a really happy vibe. Other thing is if you are on the shorter side, a lot of her tips are about being petite because I think she's like 5'1". Funny enough, I love her. I'm 5'10". Like all those tips are not helpful, but I'm
Not
glad
for
they're
you.
out there for our short queens. Please make sure to check her out because she has really good tips about how to like, I bought these pants, they were too big. So I did this and this and this to make it work.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so
she's
Cynthia
so
Lee. Are you,
cute.
yeah, we have a new follower already.
Man, this is aspirational.
Isn't she
I thought you
cute?
were going to say that she's someone who styles just from the waist up. I was like, I could get behind that.
No, but she is
'cause
kind of like, but she'll be honest. She'll be like, and you could wear with these shoes or these shoes, but I'm not wearing shoes. So whatever.
But who cares about
And
you?
she's like, I don't care. Anyway, so yeah, kind of work from home outfits. And she's really cute. So that is my bridal break, guys.
Woohoo.
Those are good bridal breaks. I like
Thank
those.
you. You did it, buddy.
Yes.
I will
That
say,
was so
LL, our
fun.
buddy Lauren, told us you have to talk to Carly. You have to hear this story.
Did it live up at all?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
I was like,
Definitely.
when you said that, I was like, is our story even that crazy? And then like, once I remembered about fire, I was like, yeah, I mean, you throw fire in, like, it always sounds a little crazy, but
Dramatic. I like it.
it definitely,
And then at the end was like the best wedding ever. And you had a blast and you have all these happy memories. That's like what it's all about.
to have that moment of our wedding was just, it was really special. Like I got kind of emotional talking about it. But I really thank you for letting me talk about it again.
This is great. Also, I think it's really good that you came on the podcast because it sounds like you have a terrible memory and you'll be able to go back to this podcast to remember what happened.
Yes.
Unless I fucked it all up, but I don't think I did. I was left with plenty of guidance.
This whole thing was
No.
total fiction.
Honestly,
good.
we
I'm
weren't
in.
gonna. I know. Okay, well, my mom corroborated like at least a little of the story.
Totally.
My mom was like, "There was indeed a PowerPoint. It was hilarious." Oh, I think Elliot's here. Come say bye. I'm saying bye.
Did she give you enough material?
Apparently, it's gonna be a 3-parter.
A three-parter? A Carly three-parter? It was really nice meeting you. I look forward to the
Me
podcast.
too.
I told them how Jake was like hanging on to the end.
Yeah.
on Saturday night, and he's like not a partier. And he was
Yeah.
like, I'm staying.
No, you
Oh, and
should.
then they woke up Sunday morning at like 6 a.m. to watch Formula One.
Oh my gosh.
Priorities,
Of the wedding
man.
weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you fall in love with the European sport. You're a slave to it.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Okay, I've literally taken up your time for 3.5 hours, so
We're
go
almost
before I keep
done. You
talking.
ready? Okay.
Yes.
So now that Carly has graciously given us her time, the gift is that she gets to watch us via Zoom quiz Pam
Mm-hmm.
about
Ooh, I love that.
My favorite
she
part.
knows about the podcast. All right, Pammy.
I tried to memorize the telephone number so I could say it because my memory's so bad.
We're
Me
gonna
too.
quiz you. Okay. Unless you want me to quiz you, it's up to you. You want me to watch Pam?
No.
Pammy, we tried. I tried,
I know.
Pam.
It's all good.
What is our website?
Weddingconfessionals.com.
From there, you can find links to all of our social media handles. Where are we on? Where are we on social media?
We are on Instagram,
Yeah.
Facebook,
Yes.
Twitter,
Yeah.
TikTok, Pinterest.
Yes.
You can find us all over.
Yeah, we're all over the internet. Can't get rid of us. Also on the website, you can find links to our show notes. So every time we're talking about anything within the podcast about her wedding or any sort of links we can give, they're going to be in the show notes there. So go ahead and check them out there. We want you to send us your confessionals.
Keep them coming.
Tell us your
They're so
stories.
good.
Tell us your questions. We love to hear them. We love to hear from you. There are 3 ways you can send very anonymous. Guys, we've been recording for a while, and I think at this very moment,
You're done.
my brain just stopped. They're always anonymous. I'm leaving this in. It's fine. I'm not perfect. People know. One way is to send us an email. Pammy, what's our email address?
Weddingconfessionals@gmail.com.
Also, Carly, what's the phone number?
No, I said I tried and failed.
Okay, that's a negative for Carly.
Like I remember that you like said it in like a rhythm. I listened to Lauren's last night.
All right, Pammy.
Yes.
It's been a couple weeks. I feel like you should at least get 3, maybe 4 of them. What is our phone number?
434
Yes.
633.
Fuck no. 933.
933.
How do we get you to remember the 9?
I don't know.
That was
I
so
totally
close,
have
though.
a mental block.
There is a Broadway musical called 9, correct?
Yeah.
Let's try to remember.
Okay.
I'll look at you and
thought
I'll
it
go,
was
I'll
called
go
7.
Broadway. And then you'll go like 9 and we'll at least get to that. Okay. So it's 434-933-2663. 434-933-2663. Also on our website, you can link to a tab that says what, Pammy?
Tell us your secrets.
Yes. From there is a form. You don't have to give us your email address, your phone number, nothing. You just put in whatever cutesy little name you want and then type in your drama, hit
We're
send.
not cutesy. No pressure. But
That's
Or
true.
just a series of letters.
Yeah, like like our Apple reviewer.
yes.
Just let your cat walk on the keyboard and call it a day. Speaking of, the next thing I was going to say was make sure to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts specifically. The algorithm there really does bump us a lot every time you get a new review. So help out brides and grooms to help us find this fun little corner of the internet.
yeah.
Speaking of Apple Podcasts, Pammy, that is one of the podcast providers that has our podcast. There are 2 more in the A's. What are they?
Amazon
Yes.
and Audible.
There are 2 C's. You got them last time.
Castbox
Yes.
and Castro.
There are 2 D's.
Deezer and Downcast.
Oh my God. There's 1 G?
Google.
Google Podcast. I'll give it to you. There is
Okay.
1 I.
There's an I?
Yes.
I don't know the I.
iHeart.
I
iHeartRadio.
do know an
I know S.
What is
I know
that?
S. Stitcher.
Stitcher.
Yes.
Because that's where I listen.
Oh, I love Stitcher. Okay, besides iHeartRadio, the next one is Overcast, Listen Notes, Player FM, Pocket Cast, Podbean, Pod Paradise, Podtail, Podcast Addict, Podcast Land, Podcast Republic, Radio Public, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, and also if you shout at Alexa or Siri, Wedding Confessionals podcast, it will play.
It will.
And that is it. Guys, we did it.
Woo!
We did
I'm
it.
so proud of us.
So good.
And you got to see Ruth. It's the whole experience of being a guest on the podcast.
It's all
Multiple
here.
interruptions. You had a tuna melt. It's been a day.
I
Yeah.
had a tuna melt. You met my mom. My dad's out there. I'm not gonna have you meet him because he'll never stop talking. We're mutual friends. David Kantrowitz. I went to high school with him. He's like he was one of my best friends in high school. Yeah.
Shut up. Did you go to
my high
his
school-
wedding?
I didn't
Oh,
go to
okay.
his wedding, which was on New Year's.
Yes.
And amazing. But we like lost touch for a while, and then when I moved back to LA, we like got back in touch, and yeah, I love him. He's amazing.
Aw, isn't he the sweetest? He's the best.
He did our
He's the
logo.
best.
He did. The logo you see is David. So yeah, let's
the
end with a
best.
little love to David.
Yes.
David Kantrowitz, I miss you.
And that's it, guys. Thank you so much, Carly.
Thank you guys.
I'll see you next
Thanks
time.
for having me. I'm so happy.
I'll see you next week, Pammy. Bye.
Bye. Special thanks to Andy Schreier for our adorable theme song,
And David Kantrowitz for our fantastic logo.
and Ramsey Millette and Brian Maylard for their technical support.
If you want to learn more about our show, where you got to go, Pam?
Check out our website, weddingconfessionals.com.
That's it, girl. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.